Hello, Patriot. Good afternoon, and wish all of you have a wonderful weekend and then a productive the coming weeks. In December 2013, just after a few months after I went to China to start my a business adventure, my friend worked in the U.S. Embassy in Beijing, China, and he invited me to go to the residence of then Ambassador Gary Luck's residence in the district of Embassy District compound in Beijing for a Christmas party. And I went there, and they invite different kinds of religious leaders from Chinese church and Catholic, Christian, Buddha, temple, whatever. I think all of them fake because all of them Communist Party member. They are not true pastor, monk, or priest, whatever. But anyway, I went there, and we engaged I later on engaged a very cordial conversation with the Ambassador Gary Luck, and he was about to leave to go back to the United States. And he was a Democrat. He's two-term governor from the state of Washington. And we had a very frank, friendly conversation. And even though I heard a rumor that he was a setup by the Chinese field espionage, and you can guess what's happened next. But anyway, I saved his face. We didn't touch any topic of that, and we just have some family conversation. I said, "Why the Master Ambassador? Why you go back to United States? You didn't stay in the position that long." And he told me that he had a son, want to go to college. He wanted to make sure on his side. I have two daughters at that time, and also want to apply for college at the same time frame as well. So I got a similar feeling. Okay, I'm pretty much sympathetic to his position. But anyway, after this cordial conversation, I popped a very important question in my mind for some time. I said, "Mr. Ambassador, the United States already has the largest embassy in terms of square footage-wise in Beijing Embassy District. Why we still need to build a high-rise building over 10 floors? What we need that for?" He didn't give me the answer, but I found out later on. 90% of that building function will be used for visa applications. I complained to my friend and a couple of friends who work in the U.S. Embassy, one of them very high ranking position in the embassy. I said, "What we need that buildings for? Are we legally invite those Chinese espionage spies, visa overstay for the students to come to our country?" Then later on, I found out that John Kerry signed a treaty, what they call the $100,000 student exchange program with the Communist in China. In the same time, John Kerry praised China as a strategic partner of the United States. Oh my Lord, such bullshit. And then I even filed a verbal complaint to my friend in Beijing, China. The embassy employee, staff, a senior staff as a matter of fact. Is that crazy? Do you think really America would send over 100,000 students to China to learn whatever they have? I think they probably have over a trillion people want to come over to the United States. Is that ridiculous? But those questions never answered in my heart still today. So when Rex Tillerson sworn in as the Secretary of State, first Secretary of State under President Trump, I sent a letter to him. I said, give all kinds of reasons why we don't need that building. We should demolish that building. The United States also to shut down the primary function visa application for that building. We don't need that many visa applicants for China to come to the United States of America. We already have lots of trouble here with those refugee whatever. But I think, I'm just a small concerned citizen. And I think that building still probably function today. Even though under President Trump, those bureaucrats in the State Department still grant those fake Chinese visa applicant and all they fake on everything. They lied about everything on the application to come into the United States and do all kinds of bad things in our country. And I think it's my personal thought because I've been to China for so many times. The real person, the real Chinese who deserve our little sympathy and to be here, probably only a very tiny portion of those population, was never have a chance to come over here. Those are communists, corrupt official, second, third generation, corrupt, dirty businessman, woman, whoever. They come here. Lots of them get American citizen already. So you can think about this. you know, the reason our country has so many trouble today is not just happened overnight. It's just accumulated to the point where people can see now, right? So my video, I just like to bring to your attention, even though I just a humble citizen, to express my point of view about our national issue. I just want to bring your attention, and hopefully, and it is helpful for you to understand what was going on in our country right now. Secondly, the Chinese communists abuse our religious organization for their own benefit, for their propaganda. And sometimes even now they have a larger scale and to influence our church here, our religious here as well. It's amazing to me. And I still remember, I think in 2014, 15, and in order for to help my friend and in the U.S. Embassy in Beijing to know those religious leaders, and in China, because he speaks some Mandarin, but not as fluent as I was. So I went to pay a visit to different religious leaders of the Christian Three Faith Church. It's a government-controlled church. I like to pay a visit to the commissioner, to the chairman. I know lots of their priests in different churches, probably much more than their commissioner. And also, I'm not the commissioner, their chairman. And then I even have a meeting, have a dinner, have a meal with the Catholic, what they call the Patriotic Catholic Commission in China. I know the honor Archbishop, can you believe this? I know their General Secretary, I know a bunch of their senior staff over there as well. All of them Communist Party member, and they are not true pastor or priest, even though the monk, okay? And so one day I met the commissioner, the Christian Church commissioner. And he told me, no, he and I originally had the meeting a little bit early on, but he apologized because he went to Shanghai. And so the first meeting was delayed for a few days. And I asked him, what did you do in Shanghai? He told me, he attending a Sino-U.S. Christian summit. I was shocked. I said, Sino-U.S. Christian summit? I mean, does the United States have any official Christian delegation to Shanghai to have like this kind of a summit with your folks out there? He said, no, it's Billy Graham, a preaching choir. Well, in my heart, the very serious Christian pump in my heart right now. At that time, Billy Graham was only one of the Christian organization in the United States. And they make a propaganda. They make it sound like it's like China and United States have an official Christian summit and makes a propaganda to their own people. I say, hey, see, even the United States, the most prominent Christian organization, they even honor our existence. They even endorse our organization to show the Chinese people that China is a country of religious freedom. Can you believe this? I also set up an appointment with the chairman of the Christian church. But if I went to their corporate office in Beijing, China, to present my request with handwriting, a letter, and that building is a very historical building because George W. Bush and his wife Barbara Bush, and when they were the liaison director for United States and China before Chinese communists and United States established for a former diplomatic relationship, they went there with a bicycle sometime. I think every Sunday to attend a church service over there. So, but after I presented a letter to them, and a few days later I got a phone call, and two gentlemen claim they are the employee of the Christian Association, the Three Self Church Association, would have a tea with me. So we had the tea in a nearby hotel, and I can immediately tell the way they talk. They are the intelligence folks, Chinese communists. They are not Christian Association employee. Because the reason I knew that was because I checked out where you're sitting the desk in that building, a little bit so and so here. All the description they gave to me doesn't fit at all. So I knew right away. But I told him I'm a businessman. My parent from China that went to Taiwan after 1949. So on and so forth. I still have some relative in Hunan province in China, even though I never saw them before. But anyway, they let me go. The first statement from that chairman of the Three Self-Christian Association, from his mouth, he told me that, hey, I'm the businessman. Oh, it really relieved me. I pat his shoulder. I say, hey, brother, now we're talking. I'm a businessman as well. So let's forget about this religious stuff. Let's talk about our business, okay? So on and so forth. But that show you and how they use this relationship. They actually, and it's nothing to do with the religions. It's all about political. Everything is politics. But the sad thing is, later on, in 2013, 2014, I think Billy Graham have preaching a delegation to China. So my friend invited me to the Chaoyang Church, and Chaoyang Church was established in the Beijing Embassy District in 2000, prior to 2008 Olympics, because they want to have a church to show us a showcase, a foreigner. They can have a place to go to for church service. So I went there, and my friend worked in the U.S. Embassy in Beijing. So I happen to know a bunch of folks out there, and from the Billy Graham preaching choir, and one of the pastor, Don Welton, and he was the pastor from First Baptist Church of Spartanburg in South Carolina. And he made the very astounding, he was preaching very hard. I think he's a wonderful pastor, preaching on the stage of the Chaoyang Church, Christian church. And then a few weeks later, and in the same stage that Pastor Don Welton was preached, they had a very large opera organized by the chief pastor of that church. They call it Red Opera. Praise their Chairman Mao. That butcher, Chairman Mao, using that church. So I told Mr. Don Welton, and I told him later on when we met each other in Spartanburg, South Carolina, a couple of years down the road. I said, you still remember the day you preached in that stage? I think a couple of weeks later, they used that same stage to have a red opera to praise their Chairman Mao, that butcher who slaughtered over 80 million Chinese folks, okay? And so he was shocked, but I think that's how it works. So I show you now, the Three South Church, now they not only infiltrate 99% of the Chinese church here in America, they also infiltrate the mainstream church as well. You see, if you pay attention to the news recently, lots of the mainstream media never report that. Some Christian churches in America now even support, endorse the coexistence of Christianity and Marxist. See? Who influenced them? Who influenced them? I know by the fact. And I show you our founding value in this country as a Judeo-Christians has been gradually, was much accelerated pace right now, eroded by those evil communists. You just don't see it every day on the news. But I bring this up for your attention. And hopefully, and my little information might be helpful for you down the road. And let's see each other next week, okay? And have a wonderful weekend. And enjoy the peace weekend with a whole family member. May God bless you. Thank you.